Well, now it's time to move on to this outer structure and get it all made up down here. Now, I'm probably gonna come back this far because the metal is a little soft. So, as you can see, I got my angle iron out to get my bends going. One of these days I'll afford myself a nice metal brake, but for now, this is how I get it done. I got my piece of metal cut, definitely bigger than I need. I drew a line there. I'm gonna start by making the vertical flange first. I'm gonna make this guy here. Gotta make that at a 90, and then, I should have grabbed my light, sorry about that. Then about right here, there's another crease in the metal, so we're gonna have to make another bend. But pretty much gonna sandwich this in there, grab my wide jaw pliers, and then just work it all the way across, and then hammer and dolly a nice crisp edge into it. Same that I did with the lip on here. As you can see, it is a pretty decent edge. There are some imperfections in certain areas, but I'm gonna put more care into this one because you can see that that's gonna be covered with the windshield trim, everything. You'll never see it. Anyways, let's get this bent up and let's start getting this panel fitted. So I got my piece bent up here. And as you can see, I did get a good, nice, crisp line in it. But what I did also do is I overbent it. I wanted a 90 degree, so I got a little carried away. Now I started hammering and dollying it, and as you can see, not only is it refining the edge, but I'm getting it nice and straight. And simply, let me show you how I'm doing that. I'm just taking my dolly, resting it right in the panel, just like that. I grabbed my wide face hammer, just working it. Just working it all the way down. That's gonna take some time. It took me some time to bend it, obviously. How I actually bent it is I had it in the angle iron like that, and then I also used the dolly on the top, and I tapped it here to spread the load out, just so you wouldn't see so many peen marks along that edge. But like I said, we're gonna just sit here, just hammer it out. Once I get that nice and straight, we'll take it to the car, and I gotta measure. There's gonna be another crease, maybe an inch away, with a small bend upward. There's a small little angle in there. So we're gonna have to mimic that. Now this is obviously really time consuming, but as you can see, if you really wanted to get this done and get good results at home, you can with minimal tools, but you just got to invest the time in it. Now I'm not gonna lie, I would love to have myself a nice little metal brake. And to be honest, if I keep going along with this, I actually might invest in one of the Harbor Freight ones. It's a good little entry brake. I believe it's about 300 bucks plus tax, of course. And it gets the job done. Is it as good as a $1,000 brake? Probably not. But as always with Harbor Freight tools, I'm sure you can upgrade it along and just make it better, and you'll make it work better. But if you're listening, and I'm not sure if you can hear this, on the camera, but as I'm hammering it, you can hear a distinctive sound when I get the bend completely out and I'm making contact with the dolly. It's like a ringing sound. And then I'll go to a spot where it isn't. It's more dull. I'm not sure if you're picking that up. Right there. See how dull that is? Then I come here where it's pretty much good. There's a ringing sound coming from the dolly. So that's kind of how I know when I got it where I want it. But also, I'm not putting force into this. I'm just letting the weight of the hammer come down. Letting the weight of the hammer do the work for me. All right, so I pretty much got it measured where that next bend needs to be. It's a 1/2 inch from this inner edge. Now, I got it all clamped in the vise, and I'm gonna try and get this the same way. I'm gonna grab my dolly, and I'm gonna run it here along the back side, lightly tapping it, moving along here. Now, I don't want to do too much because it's very subtle crease. So we're gonna have to take our time, and I might actually have to do this more than one time. So I don't think I have another vice grip to kind of hold this down in place. Oh. Well, this is gonna suck because this is gonna be moving around on me. Didn't really do anything. I'm gonna come up with a different strategy here. Go through my scrap pile and see what I can find to make this better. I'm thinking I need something to clamp here. All right, so this is what I come up with. I clamped my angle iron to the table and I found a longer piece of flat stock to go across. Now, I'm gonna use a chisel. I'm gonna put it right in the edge. That way I can try and fold this down. I wish this is the widest chisel I can find right now. Ideally, I would like a wider chisel, but you gotta do it what you got, so. Now I'm putting this right in the corner so that I can attempt to evenly bend this down. We're definitely getting our line. As you can see, there it is. Now it does tend to fade towards the center, so we're gonna have to work that a little more. But I'm gonna go check the fit against the car. I'm gonna make sure that I got the proper angle, and then I'll probably just knock this out and bring you guys back with the final result. Well, that definitely took me a couple tries. I put it in and out of my little setup maybe 4 times. But as you can see, we got a nice line, nice crisp line going all the way across. We got our proper angle. Now the last thing is I gotta create a curve. It's gotta contour this way. This is gonna be the only thing I'm gonna do with the special tool. I'm gonna use my stretcher to give myself a little contour to fit the body. Now, if you didn't have a stretcher, you can make some relief cuts, bend it, fill in where need be. It's more work, but it's doable. I invested in a set of stretcher and shrinkers, so I'm gonna use them. But as you can see, that is all I got, and I achieved this shape with just scrap iron and hammer and tine. So let me get this stretcher set up. I'm gonna put a little curve in it and we're gonna go from there. So I'm definitely being careful not to overstretch this because it has an ever so slight curve. Now I know it looks like I'm not putting a lot of pressure on this, but trust me, it is curving. I'm not sure if the camera's gonna pick that up because like I said, it is a very, very slight curve. So I now got the panel in there. As you can see, fitting pretty good. Look at the edge there. She's lining up good. I had to do a little shrink in here because there was also a downward curve this way. So I had to stretch up here to curve it this way. And then I had to shrink it to curve it this way. But it's fitting. Now, obviously this is bigger. This patch is bigger than I need. Let me get it off. Try and do this with one hand. It's probably gonna fall. And there it goes. Anyways, you can see all the rot that I'm going to replace. It goes from there to there. Looks good here, but this is where looks can be deceiving. I stabbed the screwdriver right through that with no problem. So I tapped it all the way. This area seems solid. I accidentally cut through with the cutoff wheel when we were cutting the inner panel out. So I gotta weld that shut. Now, a part of me is thinking of using the whole panel because even though it's soft here and it's solid here, the metal is probably in better shape maybe back here. So I might just come to about here, or I might come over here just so I have that lip to clamp to. And obviously I still got to do a little bit more modification to the patch. I'll do that once I remove here because I got to make a hole there. That's for the channel strip. And it's not square. There's a little notch in there that I got to mimic in the other panel. But I want to remove this first. Here we go. That's the finished product. That's going to be the patch. The original had a hole there. Not that big. I had to make it bigger because I drilled it wrong, but it's supposed to correspond with that hole right there. I got a little spot that I got to weld up real quick. I ground too deep. But let me get my light on. Pretty much you can see there, I decided not to cut back that far. The metal was good. Why create more work when it's not needed? But as you can see, the patch does fit. Follows the contours really well. So pretty much now, what I'm gonna do, it's late, but before I call it a night, I'm gonna wire brush all this. Oh, that light just died. I'm gonna wire brush all this, get in here, same with the back side. I wanna coat it with some Osvo so it could sit overnight. That way tomorrow, I'll burn this in. Well, it's the next day and I pretty much got myself ready to go. Welder set up. I got weld through primer on the 2 patch panels. Same on the body. I did run out of my, I ran out of the zinc weld through primer I normally use, so I had ordered this stuff to give it a shot. I've seen others use it. Anyways, I got to get this guy in place, and we're gonna break out the hot glue gun and we're gonna get this in here. As you can see, had to make a couple holes here for 2 spot welds, get a couple clamps so we can do our stitch weld all the way across. Same with the panel there. And then I gotta finish prepping these side panels for the roof brace. I decided to strip all the paint off of them. And let me tell you, this lacquer sucks. It's really gummy. It gums up my little flap discs. As you can see, it's just stuck in there and then it just smears all across. So when it comes time to strip the whole body, that's gonna be a fun one. All right, so I grabbed me a couple pliers. I'm gonna get this locked in. Make sure my screw holes line up, and they do. Actually, after looking at this, I've decided I'm gonna drill a couple holes here beforehand, have that ready to spot weld in. For these upper spot welds in this area, it's gonna be just like the original panel. There was actually a gap between the structure and the original panel, so I need to stitch this so where it's flush first, and then I gotta lightly tap the bottom in so I can do those spot welds. So let me drill that really quick. All right, as you can see, I kind of got it, I started tacking it in place. I use these little butt weld clamps I got from Harbor Freight to help hold it where I need it. They do work pretty good. So I'm gonna remove these and then I'm gonna start pretty much laying some tacks all the way down this. And then the very last thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna weld these 2 spot welds. And then this panel should be done and we can just start the inside. This is a pretty awkward spot to be welding in. I can't stand up, I can't sit down. So it's not really fun, but it's got to get done. These clamps do help out a lot. I like them. They're a hassle sometimes, they can be annoying, but when you have access to both sides, they work great. And it's pretty simple. It's just a little bar, piece of metal, you slide it in between, put your bar, sandwich steel, it brings it up together. Makes it nice and flush. Get a good butt weld, good even. All right, so there's a couple spots that I'm gonna have to play with. So I'm gonna make sure I have my screwdriver here that magically disappeared on me. There it is. I will admit my gap is a little bigger than I'd like on this fit. So just in case, I do have my spoon, my copper spoon here to hold behind. Well, there it is. I had a couple problem areas. Gonna have to dress those welds now. Probably do a little hammer and dolly. Get any pinholes that are left behind, and then we can start doing the inside. There it is, there's the finished product. I got the welds all dressed up. Now those dark spots you see in there are low spots. I took a paint marker and I went across the top and then I scuffed it with a little bit of 180 just to help me hammer and dolly it, get it to where I wanted it. I'm pretty happy with that. The majority of what you see are grinder marks. So a quick skim coat of some, you know, putty. I might put some like why is the name slipping my mind right now? The fiberglass reinforced stuff, just because it's waterproof, real tight coat. Or maybe I'll just put like some glazing putty on there. Again, this doesn't need to be perfect because, well, this obviously, well, not obvious, but a big old trim just goes right across the top here and holds the molding. So now that that's done, it's time to move on to the inside. See there, you can see that's what the inside looks like. Man, this thing's not focusing right there. I did do a couple tack welds on the back side too, to just so I wasn't fighting so much with pinholes. Now I pretty much got to take this piece. We're gonna put it on right there. I gotta make another little piece to fill in right there. All right, so I got my little piece of metal. I cut it out. It's longer than I need, but just like the lip on the front, I'll take a grinder and I'll grind this out all the way across and make it even. Now, my gap's a little tight here, so I'm gonna take my cutoff wheel and I'm just gonna run it through there real quick, open that up, and then we're ready to burn it in. Now that I got that where I want it, we're in a good place. We're gonna start welding. Just gonna clean the nozzle of my welder really quick. Get all the slag out of there. Now I'm gonna be honest here, my little groove that I made in here doesn't match up 100% with the original, but I mean, it's better than being rotted out and full of holes. Headliner bow is driving me crazy. All right, she's all burned in. I see one pinhole. Get it with the safety squints. Now for the best part, grinding all these welds down. And there it is, all burned in, dressed up. I shot a little weld through primer on the end because it's time to start fitting in them corner braces. I'm not gonna bother filming that. There they are. I got the backside all coated up. Show you guys. There's the, sorry about the lighting, guys. But there's the outer patch. And the inner. All looks good. Next step is going to be these guys. And as you can see, it doesn't really follow the contours of the aftermarket roof brace that well, which is to be expected with aftermarket parts. They never fit with each other. But we'll manipulate that. We'll do what we got to do. We're going to get that in place. Well, that's pretty much it for this one. Like I said, I'm not gonna bother filming those corner supports. Stay tuned, you'll see the results on the next video, where I'm probably gonna jack this sucker up, and I might start working on the rocker or the cowl shoulders. I don't know yet, but that's pretty much what's coming up. So thanks everybody for watching. Have a good one.